The internet, Eric here. Um, the brand new Ninja Turtles movie came out this weekend, and you know what? My daughter pulled this DVD out of our DVD case, and I was happy that she actually wanted to watch, which is what we watched tonight. She loved it, but I'm going to review the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film that came out in 1990, directed by Steve Barron. But starring Judith Hogue right there. Beautiful, beautiful Judith Hogue. Elias Koteas right there in the corner. Bunch of martial artists in rubber Ninja Turtle suits that were wonderfully designed by the Jim Henson Corporation, and featuring the voice talents of Corey Feldman as Donatello. Brian Tochi is Leonardo. Brian Tochi is Toshiro from the Revenge of the Nerd films. Michelangelo is voiced by Robbie Rist. Robbie Rist is mostly known as Cousin Oliver from Brady Bunch, and you know he's a musician. And I've talked to him on Facebook a bunch of times. Great, great guy, super cool. Love his band, his old band, Wonder Boy. And Josh Pius is the voice of Raphael. You might not know Josh Pius. I don't know Josh Pius at all, but I'm giving him credit because Josh Pius is the only person in the suits that actually does the voice as well. And then Splinter is actually voiced by Kevin Clash. If you know Kevin Clash is famously known as Elmo from Sesame Street. Now, if you're new to my channel, I give minor spoilers, major spoilers, whatever. But again, it's Ninja Turtles, so I don't think you really have anything to worry about. Like I said, it came out in 1990. Basic plot is this. April O'Neil is a news reporter for Channel 3, and she is reporting about a bunch of burglaries and robberies that are taking place in New York City. And she believes that it's the resurgence of the Foot Clan. And the Foot Clan was this old group of ninjas and assassins from Japan, and she believes they have come back to America. And you know they are training young recruits, young boys like 13 to 15 years old. You help them. Eventually, she is mugged, and in the dark, she is saved by the turtles. She then continues to report about the Foot Clan. The Foot Clan eventually attacks her. Raphael saves her, takes her back to the sewers to where they all live. They build a friendship. Eventually, the Shredder finds out, kidnaps Splinter, and then basically the rest of the film is the Turtles preparing to face the Shredder and rescue Splinter. That's with the help of Casey Jones, like I said, wonderfully played by one of my favorite character actors, Elias Koteas. Now, yeah, I remember, God, I was a huge Ninja Turtle fan. Most of the boys in my generation were huge Ninja Turtle fans of the toys, fans of the cartoons, and for us, when this came to the big screen, this was a big fucking deal, dude. And, you know, my dad took me to see it in the theaters. I loved it then. And now, as an adult, I think I love it even more. Because we still have the action. The action is great. The martial arts choreography is fantastic. Soundtrack is decent. You know, it's 1990, so there's some rap songs thrown in there. We said the Jim Henson Corporation, who did the suits, so well done, so good. I mean, granted, the mouths don't always sync up with the dialogue, but still, for 1990 and what they were working with, it's pretty damn good. The relationships with the Turtles is great. I mean, they have good chemistry. I mean, the actors, I don't know if the actors were saying the lines, you know, in the suits, and then, you know, obviously it was, you know, dubbed over by the voice actors, but, you know, they sync up real well. You know, just the way the physical actors are acting with each other. I love the chemistry they have together. I love the chemistry between Raphael and Casey Jones. The compadre, you know, companionship between Donatello and Michelangelo is great. You know, they're like the comic relief, the buddies of the two. Judith Hogue as April O'Neil, like I said, she's super sexy, super fun, super quirky. I love her love-hate relationship with Casey Jones. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones. Good comic relief, good foil for Raphael. When they meet, they're trying to stop some purse snatchers in Central Park. And eventually the purse snatchers get away because Casey and Raph are busy fighting each other. And they have a good rivalry going, which becomes a good friendship. And I love it. Shredder is very intimidating here. I mean, every time you see him on screen, he's got a presence. And once again, the actor playing him, doesn't speak his lines. He's also got, a voiceover. And it's a deep voiceover, which makes him very, very intimidating. The same with his sidekick, or his second in command, Tatsu, who's just this big, burly Japanese dude. And like I said, the villains are super, super intimidating. Shredder at times is very scary. But what I like about this movie now as an adult is I can pick up on a lot of the adult themes that are in this. I mean, as a kid, you don't realize, there are a lot of adult themes in this. The violence is really bad. There is some murder when we, realize it as a kid. But when Splinter, the rat that has raised the Ninja Turtles from birth after they get hit with the ooze and they start mutating, when he gives his official backstory, there's some murder involved. And, it's rated PG, but, it's very, for a movie based on a cartoon, you see murder and blood. Not a lot. You see, like, a dead body fall down with blood on its chest. And you really realize how dark this film is. And I mean, the adult themes, there's a scene where Raphael is in a coma because he was beaten nearly to death by the foot soldiers. And after they have to escape April's apartment because it was set on fire, so they take off and they are in hiding in April's cabin in the country somewhere. And it's this montage of April writing in her journal about all the turtles. And you go from Casey Jones goofing around with Donatello as they're trying to work on one of the vehicles. Raphael is still knocked out. He's laying in a bathtub. And Leonardo is in constant vigil of him. And then we see Michelangelo. And what I like about this, during this montage, Michelangelo is the goofy one. He's the comic relief. He's the one the kids love. He's the fun one. During this montage, you see Michelangelo in the barn with a punching bag. And he's beating the living shit out of that punching bag. And it's cool because this is the fun-loving turtle. And, they've been defeated. Their father figure has been taken away. They don't know if he's alive or dead. And Michelangelo is letting out all this frustration on this punching bag. Well, that's something you don't pick up as a kid. The fun-loving turtle has all this built-up, aggression and rage and hatred. And he's just letting it all out. And it's a cool thing to pick up as an adult. It's good character development, storytelling. And there was some maybe foreshadowing. Because earlier, Splinter was giving a speech to the Turtles about one day, he'll no longer be there. And, of course, Michelangelo, he's a comic relief, so in the background he's ordering a pizza. As he's waiting for the pizza guy, Donatello is skateboarding and he sits down next to Mikey, and he looks at Mikey. He's like, you ever think about what Splinter meant about one day not having him not being there? And Michelangelo, he's just focusing on the pizza and looking straight ahead, and you think he's just be like, and he's not paying attention. I personally think now, rewatching this after realizing that scene later on where he's with the punching bag, he hears exactly what Donatello's saying, but I think he doesn't want to believe it. This is his father, the man who raised him. And he doesn't want to believe that there will be a world without Splinter. And eventually when Splinter's taken away, he's beating the shit out of that punching bag. And that's a cool thing to pick up on now as an adult. It's very dark. And this is based off more of the comics. When the comic series first came out, it was very dark. It was very violent. There were a lot of very big adult themes, but it's really well done. I love the scene where Raphael, he's already lost one of his sais, which is one of his weapons. He lost it when they were saving April the first time. So he feels like he's a piece of shit. He's a failure. So eventually he goes out and he goes to see the movie Critters, which is great. Gets in his tussle with Casey Jones. Casey Jones gets the upper hand, knocks him out, knocks him into a garbage can, calls him a freak. Raph takes that personally. So when Raph comes home, Splinter's waiting for him. Splinter's waiting in the dark, and he has a very sweet, emotional monologue to Raphael, basically saying, my son, you're full of all this rage and all this pent-up aggression, and I've done my best to help you channel it. And he's basically saying, Raph, you're fighting this battle on your own, and if you don't open up to your brothers and to me, you won't succeed. Because you have a family and we're here for you. And it's very sweet. It's very loving. And in the end, you hear Raph sniffling. And I think you see some tears on his mask. But it's a very sweet, tender moment. It's a rat and a turtle. But between father and son. It's very, very well done. What else? Like I said, the action holds up. The action is great. I just love Elias Koteas as Casey Jones. I love his love-hate relationship with April O'Neil. They act like they hate each other, but they really care for each other. And Elias and Judith have fantastic chemistry with each other. You can tell that by the end of the film, when they hook up, it's great. You can tell that it's genuine, it's loving. And I want to talk about Elias Koteas because, he does good as, an action star for what he does. He does really good here when he's fighting Raphael, when he's fighting the foot soldiers. Get that. There we go. When he's fighting the foot soldier, what have you. But he's really good with his comedy, too. His delivery is spot on. His quips with Raphael is great. Them going back and forth. But one of my favorite scenes is they return to the sewers. And they know they got to sleep overnight to get ready for the battle the next day. And you see Casey Jones, Elias, he's all edgy, and he doesn't want to sleep in the sewer. And you can see my daughter's Mickey Mouse cups. Easily distracted. Sorry. He is against sleeping in the sewers, and Donatello picks up the fact that he's claustrophobic. And Donatello calls him out and he says, "You're claustrophobic." And then he looks right at Donatello and he says, "What, you want a fist in your mouth? I've never even looked at another guy before." So it's funny, it's a PG-rated movie, guided for kids, but the adults can pick up on the fact that, he thought that Donatello was calling him gay. And the delivery was very well done. I mean, it's not derogatory towards gays in the way he delivers it, but he delivers it so good. His performance is fantastic. Anytime seriously, look up Elias Koteas on IMDb. I love him in, he's great in Apt Pupil as the homeless man. I love him in Fallen as one of the serial killers. This guy pops up every now and then, and he's fantastic. He always hits it out of the park. Even in the crappy third Ninja Turtles film, he is the reason to see that film. But the violence in this is very surprising. Like I said, the backstory of Splinter, you get some murder there. When Shredder is defeated, he obviously shows up in the sequel, but you believe he is actually killed the way he is killed. The violence is real bad. We have stabbings and slicings when the Turtles are in their final confrontation with Shredder. Another thing I love the scenes with the kids. The teenagers, when they're being recruited for the Foot Clan. They're given basically whatever they want. They're allowed to drink, they're allowed to smoke, they're allowed to play video games, gamble. And one of the recruiters is great because one of the recruiters is a young Sam Rockwell. So And it's fucking Sam Rockwell. He was great back in 1990. But I just love the scenes where, just to see the kids talking with each other, stealing the merchandise, basically living the good life. It's funny seeing, all these kids being rambunctious, and then in walks Tatsu. Like I said, Tatsu is Shredder's second in command, and he's just mean Japanese guy. Doesn't say a lot of dialogue, and then this young kid runs right into him. Tatsu gives him this look, and the kid literally probably just pissed his pants, and then he just looks at the kid and he says, "Go play." It's a really cool. The kids are having fun. He bumps into Tatsu. It becomes this intense moment. And then he basically tells the kid to go play. So, like I said, wonderful little scenes like that. I want to mention, I don't know if he's there, the score in this film is done really, really well. Music by John Du Perez. The score in this film is fantastic. There's the rock music when the turtles are getting pumped up, the music during the final battle scene between the turtles and the Foot Clan, the soft music when Raph and Splinter are having their moment, so good. There is nothing about this film other than basically the animatronics of the turtles' faces not always syncing up with the voice. That's pretty much the only downside. And it's 1990, so it is severely dated. I mean, the kids are listening to Walkmans. They're listening to, rap music is just now becoming big. So it does show its age. But, like I said, now as an adult, I appreciate this film a lot more. Now that I can see the adult themes in it. And the comic relief does work. Especially with Donatello and Michelangelo. There's a scene where they're trying to meditate to reach Splinter. And, because Leonardo had already meditated and talked to Splinter. So he's getting the four turtles together. They're around a campfire. And they're trying to be real serious. And, Raphael is basically saying, I don't believe this crap. And Donatello's like, don't worry, I came prepared. He picks up a branch with, a bunch of fucking marshmallows on it burning, and he's laughing, and they all give him a dirty look, and he stops laughing and kind of throws it away. Little funny things like that. Raphael and Leonardo having their tiff that they always have, and Donnie and Mike look at each other like, fight, fight, kitchen, kitchen. So they sneak out of sorry for the shaking, they sneak out of the room to go into the kitchen because they know this is going to take a while. Raph and Leo are fighting. So, yeah, fantastic action. Wonderfully done. Comic relief. Not overkill. The suits look great, especially for 1990. Jim Henson was the man back then. He was still alive then, so I don't know if he oversaw anything, but I know Brian Henson, his son, was involved. Wonderful score. Fantastic acting. Like I said, lovable Judith Hoag. Oh, so good. I hear she has a cameo in the new film, so I'm excited to see that. Elias Koteas, badass and funny. Shredder is scary and intimidating. Tatsu is scary and intimidating. All the turtles are likable. Splinter is likable. God, this movie to me gives me a certain feel of nostalgia as a kid again. But it's great to know that I loved it when it came out when I was, I was 9 years old when it came out. I'm 34 now, and I still fucking love it. I highly, highly recommend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 version. I'm eventually going to watch the other ones and review them because I do want to see the new one. The new one looks very, very fun. But yeah, so far I've seen everyone except for the brand new one, Out of the Shadows, and I still say the 1990 version, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is the best one. It's the one that holds up the most fun, the action is fantastic. I've just said the same thing about 300 times, so in the end I'm going to say definitely watch that. If you're someone who's the generation under me, give it a shot, Like I said, it's severely dated, 1990, but you know what? I think if you're a fan of Ninja Turtles, you're going to love this film. So in the end, thank you for watching my review. Please like, subscribe, usual jazz. Check out my older videos, blah, blah, blah. Tell your friends, tell grandma, tell, Uncle Carl, hey, there's this dude who drinks beer and he needs to shave and lose some weight, but he talks about movies a lot. Give him a look. So in the end, cheers, and as Michelangelo would say, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. Take care. Hey Internet, Eric here. Just got back from doing a beer run, and I was going to upload the Ninja Turtles video you just watched, Ninja Turtles review video that you just watched, and I thought to myself, I want to splice in a little bit more, since I've learned how to do this. I learned how to do it with my Halloween 5 review. I needed to rip the shit out of that one a little bit more. So I thought of, you know what? I don't think I really discussed the action as well as I wanted to in the initial part of this review. I talked about, there is a lot of action sequences here. You have the really good fight between Casey Jones and Raphael in Central Park. And, it's not a huge, extravagant fight, but it's really well done. They're getting their licks in with each other, and they're also, doing their little quips against each other. But when we get to the fight with the three turtles, Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, Raphael, like I mentioned before, has been beaten into a coma at this part. And they're in April's apartment, and the foot soldiers are there, and it's a long, probably good 10-minute scene of, non-stop action, really brutal. There are, and it's great because the turtles don't have the upper hand the entire time. There's a scene where the foot soldiers bring in a bunch of axes, and they're chopping at, the turtles towards the floor, and the turtles are dodging out of the way, and of course it weakens the floor, and eventually they fall into the basement. And one of the foot soldiers swings at Leonardo or whoever, who ducks, and then they hit a power cord, which causes the apartment to set on fire. So this action sequence also has flame, intensity. Eventually Casey Jones shows up to help the turtles. Very, very well done. And I also want to mention the fight where Raphael is put into the coma, because I mentioned how violent this movie can be and how dark. Raph does his usual shtick, where he's trash talking the Foot Clan, beating the shit out of them, has the upper hand up until the very end, where they finally gang up on him. And when they beat the shit out of him, they really do. The way this is filmed, you see quick, hard punches to Raph's face, and Raph, taking the hits like that. Raph is dragged down some steps, thrown through, plate glass windows into the apartment. Yeah, really, really brutal, really violent, and like I said, for a PG movie, aimed at kids. I was surprised with how violent it was, now as an adult, but it's really, like I said, really well done. And then the final fight between the Foot Clan and all four turtles, as they're fighting, in the streets of New York, all the way up to the top of not really a skyscraper, but just a gigantic apartment complex. Really well done. Very long, very, the choreography is really good. Michelangelo and Donatello still gets their quips in. Really good. The final confrontation between the turtles and Shredder, as short as it is, pretty violent. Yeah, I just wanted to add that into this video to talk about how well the action is and how it's very, adding more to the dark tone of this film. And another thing I wanted to mention was, I mentioned the score. I forgot to mention the score, the very subtle score but intense score of when we finally meet Shredder, when he's walking down this long corridor, and you just see him from behind a lot. They do a really good job of building up how frightening this man is. They build up they do a really good job of making this man seem scary. So I just want to throw those extra parts in. Yeah, so once again, still recommending go check out the 1990 live action film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'll be back with another review some other time. And hopefully I won't have to keep editing in other parts, you know, or like a add-on to videos like this, because I'm trying to get it all in one video. But you know what? I'm glad I thought of this before I uploaded, so you can see my entire opinion. So once again, don't have any beers on me right now, but I will still say cheers and cowabunga.